Hello and welcome again to Let's Play Shadows of Amn. This is Policy of Madness. We're in the middle of the Mage stronghold quest. We're about to leave.
Nothing to it.
And hang on. Didn't I want to rest first?
What?
I think I did. Let's rest first.
If you say so.
Make sure all our spells are completely topped off. Okay.
Of course.
So I recall there's not a lot here that can see invisible. Just the actual demons.
Vita mortis cario. Vita mortis cario. Vita mortis cario.
Last time I was talking about, I started talking about laws, and how is it that, how does it come about that
If that's what you want.
certain, how does it come about that certain identities are pathologized? They're
Tell me whatever you decide.
rendered illegal. Rendered illegal and classified as a pathology of our society.
I'm waiting.
How does that come about? And I did start to answer that question. One of the answers is that people who, whoops,
Tell me all about it. Nothing to it. I'm waiting.
people who are in a position to make laws
Tell me all about it. Just ask.
are much more inclined to excuse,
What would you like?
essentially, the actions and behavior of people who are like themselves. So there's our demon heart, and we're done if we want to be done.
Yes. Tell me all about nothing to it.
There's some more shit here that we're gonna kill.
Whatever.
Are you fucking shitting me? This thing, it does not have magical weapons. Okay.
If you say so.
Who had ineffective weapons? Okay.
I'm waiting.
Now part of this is just simply a sense of it's something that we call agency point of view in some contexts, where you're very inclined to be sympathetic to people who share your point of view, which is the name agency point of view should suggest that we're talking mostly about government agencies.
I'm waiting. Yes. Tell me all about. Is that all?
I didn't even lose one of those skeleton warriors. Fucking amazing.
Nothing to it.
5 skeleton warriors just completely annihilated everything on this map. Now those Tanari, and especially that one super special Tanari that's up here that's worth 16,000 EXP.
Yes.
Where's his heart? There it is.
Whatever you want. Tell me all about it.
They can see invisible, and they would preferentially target my character as opposed to my summons. If they had been able to see me. That's why I backed off like really sharply whenever
Yes.
they
What
spotted
would you like?
the skeleton warriors and got into it with the skeleton warriors. And we call it agency point of view because if you work for, you know, a particular type of agency, you're much more inclined to be sympathetic and be able to see the point of view of people who share your own experience. And this also goes for people who are sympathetic toward those who share their racial, socioeconomic background. There's also, of course, the subject of racism. Here's how racism, very small levels of racism today, are able to produce outsized effects. So, in the antebellum period and the period shortly following the Civil War, you had a bunch of white people who were racist, and they made no bones about it, really. They had spent a lot of time preventing... Is this unexplored area? Or just black floor? Just black floor. Okay. They'd spent a lot of time and effort keeping free blacks out of the political process. And
tell whatever you want.
Also in making sure that there were very few free black people.
alia vero.
So now, after the Civil War, they had a whole pile of black people who were legally, at least, fully entitled to participate in the political process the same way as white people.
Tell me all about it.
And these people were racist and didn't like this.
Of course.
And they made it their goal, essentially, that we're going to be fatigued here shortly. Because we cast, we're not actually fatigued now, are we? Yeah, because we had cast, haste on ourselves twice. Now I'm going to try to remember how to do this. I honestly don't. There we go. It's, most of the puzzles in the game, you can figure out the results through some kind of hint that the game gives you or instructions. This one, as far as I'm aware, there are no instructions and no hints. Whoops. Don't want to go down there yet. So the fact was that most of the free black people both before the Civil War and most especially after the Civil War were very poor. And there was a good reason for this. It was because when you work for a living for your entire life, but you receive no wages for it, you end up with a problem in the with the respect of having any kind of income. Or having any kind of wealth, I mean. You're going to have a serious wealth problem if you're... Skull trap cast instantly. Can't remember. I know this does.
Incurtus Imperium.
Alright, the Ringer of the Ram would have served us very well in when we were fighting Kangax, because this is... Kangax doesn't soak any of this at all. It does full damage against him. And I think he only has 50 hit points, so you can take down half his hit points, which is one attack if you get a lucky roll. but we decided to kill King X before coming here, so that's not how it actually worked out. Okay. We're just gonna... Well, shit, I didn't realize that was gonna happen. Oh, man. I really didn't realize that was gonna set off my... Okay, well, now I know. Contingency is set off with this thing. That sucks.
I'm waiting. Yes. Nothing to in and out and no one notices.
I like how the projected image just kind of randomly comes out with these little sound files that I never actually hear because I don't play a thief with this voice
Tell
set.
me all about it.
All right.
I'm waiting.
I guess I should have realized that though, because of course this did render me, you know, helpless, trapped. All right.
Tell me all about it. If you say so. Yes. Is that all?
So if you want to suppress the political abilities of a particular racial group, and you're not allowed, at least in some instances, you're not allowed to do it by saying, well, black people can't do this. There was actually pretty much illegal to suppress black voters explicitly by saying people who are black can't vote. And so people would get the same effect going. Now just go wait for the Blizzard Eye to expire. People would get this same effect going of having black people suppressed. Shit, is this what I want to do? Can't remember.
Nothing to it.
We do need to be visible when we walk through here. No, I think I actually needed to come through the other. There's a like whole pile of golems in here.
Whatever you want.
And they don't trigger unless you come at them from a particular direction, and they don't spawn, rather. And you also have to be visible. So if you want to suppress, you know, black people, and you're not allowed to write laws that say black people are not allowed to vote,
Just ask.
then what do? You know, there are actually answers to what do you do. And what you do essentially is, and this is exactly what they did, was you create the legal structure in such a way that we're killing the stone golems first because this guy's holding them back. Once we kill him, the stone golems will be able to get at us. So we killed them first. You make it to where essentially being poor is illegal. You make things crimes that only poor people are inclined to do. And
you wily bastard.
You leave aside, you do not criminalize the things that wealthy people are likely to do. I mean, it's not really an accident that breaking into somebody's house and stealing their money is a crime, but manipulating the stock market so that everyone is impoverished except you is not a crime, okay? It's because wealthy people do one thing and poor people do the other thing, and as long as most black people are poor, this will selectively keep black people in a subordinate social position. You say, well, there are plenty of poor people who aren't black. That's true. And if you are racist, some people aren't racist so much as they're classist, and they have no problem whatsoever with suppressing poor white people. But the majority of people who are inclined to set up laws in such a way that some people are advantaged and some people are disadvantaged, those people are often racist. And so they write the laws in such a way that it's possible to selectively enforce them, that it's not required to always enforce them. Take for example the literacy laws, where you had to pass a literacy test in order to vote. These laws were not written in such a way that only black people had to take the literacy test, but they were written in such a way that only poor people were required to take the literacy test. So already you've cordoned away wealthy people to be not have to be subjected to this law. So wealthy people are already no longer in danger of being disenfranchised with this law. And in addition, the laws were written in such a way that the poll workers, who were invariably white, were given great leeway as to who this law would be enforced against and who would not.
You wily bastard.
Who's going to be required to take this literacy test? Well, it's basically up to the poll worker. And so you have a law which is not written in such a way that it particularly disadvantages any given racial group. It's already inclined to spare white people and oppress black people because white people are more likely to be wealthy and black people are more likely to be poor. And then it gives great leeway to the people who decide when and how to enforce it, allowing them to choose. And as soon as you allow people to choose, and you know the people who are going to be doing the choosing are kind of racist, then your law is going to be enforced in a racist fashion. And this was not an accident. This was... Wow, okay. This was a feature, not a bug, okay? Is this play golem? Yeah. It's super cheesy. I mean, really, does it get more cheesy than this? I think there's a trap on this. Look at that. That's crazy. Okay. I think there's a trap on this. Yep, there was a trap on it. Now there should be another group of golems over here. Make sure we're not invisible. Another adamantite and some stone golems. Yeah. We're just gonna basically do the same thing.
Oh, you wily bastard.
I mentioned in a previous episode about how housing policy in the past was explicitly racist. Housing policy in the past, there are two big legal policies, two big laws. What was that? Don't know. Save versus spell. Oh. I'm close enough that he's affecting me. Okay. There were two big acts in the past that really reinforced property ownership in the United States.
Did that
It made property ownership in the United States something
you
that
wouldn't hurt a lady, would you?
ordinary people could do. The first one was the Homestead Act. The Homestead Act allowed people to go west and essentially just take up land. And if they met certain requirements for having homesteaded the land, then the United States government would recognize their property rights. Now, immediately you see a problem with this, and that this land was already claimed by somebody else. So there's already a racist component to it. But what we're really talking about here is African Americans who the Homestead Act took place when the United States had an overflowing number of unemployed black families. Black men, some of them single, some of them with families, could not find any work. Work just basically did not exist for these people.
Oh, you wily bastard.
The Homestead Act would have been a really great way for black people to create and maintain wealth, because real estate is the major means
You wily bastard.
by which people in the United States accumulate wealth and transmit it forward in time to their descendants. The Homestead Act was racist. It was enforced in a racist way, or applied in a racist way. Not just the fact that this land was not
You wily bastard.
completely unoccupied. It was unoccupied by white people. That doesn't mean it was unoccupied or unowned.
Oh, did that hurt?
And so it was a transfer of land
Did that
from one group to another, and the other group that was receiving it, it was ensured that those were only white people. The Homestead Act would have been a great way to create wealth in a population of people for whom all the labor of their
you wily
ancestors,
bastard.
all the labor of their ancestors had gone toward accumulating wealth for someone else. all of the
Oh, you wily bastard.
labor of enslaved black people had been stolen from them. I mean, that was a wealth generating, picking cotton generates wealth. It generates lots of wealth. But that wealth was not accumulated toward the black laborers. It was
Oh, did that hurt?
accumulated instead toward the people who claimed to own those people. So you had a huge population of poor blacks whose labor had been stolen from them, and the products of their labor had been stolen from them for hundreds of years. So they had nothing that they had inherited from their ancestors. And now there's an opportunity for them to start creating wealth of their own and transmit it, to their descendants. And that's being taken advantage of by white people, but black people are not allowed. So, right away, you have a problem.
Did that? Did that hurt?
How much time we got left? There we go. Alright. And that's everything is dangerous. I don't actually understand this room. It's like a big room, and it's half water, and you've got this thing that's built on top of the water, and what's in the water? I don't actually know. But you can kind of see hints of this big structure being in the water. Why is it half in the water? There's a lot that I just don't understand about the planar sphere.
What would you like?
Now the other act was, it's actually a two-part thing. One of them was the FHA, Federal Housing Administration, which, did I put that shit here?
Nothing
Can't remember.
to it.
Let's look.
Tell me all about it.
Which was empowered by the government to provide loans to people.
Whatever you want.
For the purposes of buying houses. And the other was the VA, the Veterans Administration, also had a similar power. Don't need the pole. Okay. Well, we need to not be doing the demon hearts either. Okay. The VA was empowered to provide similar loans for veterans. And these two programs, which were kind of two parts of the same program, you can kind of think of them as being the same program. One operated for veterans and the other one operated for people who were not veterans. After the end of World War II, the American government decided that home ownership was the thing that people ought to be doing. People ought to own real estate, and specifically to own homes and live in them. But these programs were both administered in an explicitly racist fashion. If you look at the way that the laws were written that authorized these programs, you're not going to find anything in there that says black people can't get a loan.
If you say so.
It wasn't written into the law, but it was administered in the following way. What happened is we only actually need one of these demon hearts, but
I'm waiting.
we got them all because why not? The way it was administered is that certain neighborhoods were defined arbitrarily, just arbitrarily, as high-risk neighborhoods. It was very similar to the way redlining worked with banks. banks would decide arbitrarily that certain neighborhoods were high risk, and would, in certain instances, would actually draw a line in red, red ink or red pencil, around the neighborhood and say anybody who wants to buy a house within this neighborhood, we're not going to give them a loan. And it was no accident that these neighborhoods were traditionally black neighborhoods. The FHA did something similar. Pulsing mass of flesh seems to be the power core for the sphere. What makes it seem like that? And for lack of a more obvious solution, we do exactly the correct thing. And considering that it was being powered with demon hearts, and we have 2 more demon hearts, it really seems like we should be able to power it 2 more times, but I guess that would be too complicated for this game. So anyone who wanted to buy a house in a traditionally black neighborhood would not be able to do it. And they also declared that any neighborhoods that were racially changing were also high risk, just arbitrarily. There's no, lots of people say, well, redlining is legitimate because people should not have to, or companies rather, banks should not have to give loans to folk who can't pay their loans back. Nobody's actually saying that banks should be required to give loans to people who can't pay the loans back. The thing is that these are not decisions that are made in any kind of using any kind of financial information. These are decisions that are made strictly on a racial basis.
We'll return to our own plane. Please, please, stranger, as per our bargain, let me see my son one last time. I am most grateful. If you could but carry me. My strength has all but fled. My last moments are upon me.
You better be fucking happy my strength is 19. If I were a typical mage and did not have strength 19, this would be kind of an effort.
It is the sky after all. I had forgotten how it looked after so long. I thank you, and I wish to repay you for your kindness.
How could you have prevented me? How could you have fucking prevented me from taking it? I don't need your goddamn permission. You're dead. You're about to literally die in front of me. How could you fucking prevent me from taking the planar sphere? This is not the... It looks like the ring that we had in... We had 2 of them in the first game. We had 2 rings of wizardry in the first game. That's why we had 24 magic missiles every day. But this is actually not a ring of wizardry. It instead works in a completely different way. And it's not as good as either of these. So, looks like we have another level. Let's take it. Okay. And that is a boatload of EXP. Just in case we're keeping track, this is 5 million EXP. Okay, so when you define black neighborhoods and neighborhoods that are racially changing,
What would you like?
as arbitrarily deciding that they are high-risk neighborhoods without any actual financial evidence of that, you're able to maintain certain racial groups, specifically black people, in a lower socioeconomic strata. just by that.
I had thought you would be taller. I am here as a contact and a master, and I will thank you for keeping your tone civil.
Fuck you.
I am Tios, and I have been assigned to offer you a special deal.
I guarantee you that I am higher level than you, so fuck you. Again, people act like there was a fucking deed that was passed over to me. Now, hang on. He said you can act freely as a mage, but here he's saying that if I don't have a magic license, then I actually can't act freely as a mage. Alright.
Nothing to it.
So our goal, of course, is to have no unresolved quests on our quest list. And our quest list just keeps getting fucking longer because our quests just keep multiplying. Wow, shit, I didn't realize Investigate the Deaths in the Umar Hills had so many entries. Okay. Minister Lloyd Wainwright? Did we ever learn his last name? I didn't know he had a last name. Okay.
Whatever you want. If you say so.
So these demon hearts are now junk. So is the coal. Oops.
Tell me, of course.
This is a kind of really nice little dagger. I mean, the damage it does is not that great, but it does hold 20% of the time. And we also have this dagger, which has a save versus poison or fall asleep for 2 rounds. If you have like, especially a thief, dual wielding these two, and maybe like a fighter thief or something, although a fighter thief would probably have, actually would definitely have better abilities. But like, let's say you have a thief. Let's say you have a swashbuckler who can dual wield with essentially no penalty. You can dual wield these 2 daggers, and your odds of the creature in front of you either falling asleep or becoming held are really high. I mean, you're attacking twice per round, 3 times if you have haste, and they have to keep making these saves, or become immobilized. Those are actually pretty nice when you use them in conjunction with each other. Or rather, they can be nice. That would be an especially nice tactic if this game were not so overflowing with extremely deadly weapons.
If that's what you want.
So keeping people from... What did I want to do? There's something I wanted to do. Oh, that's right. Losing my train of thought. If your objective is to keep certain people who are poor, and keep them poor, then of course the best way to do that is to prevent them from accumulating any kind of wealth. And since the best way to accumulate wealth and pass it on to the next generation, so that the next generation starts out with in a better position.
Ribald Bardaman at your service.
I like Ribald. I wish he did more than just stand there in the Adventure Mart.
Nothing to it. I'm waiting.
The best way to keep people down, when they're already down, is to prevent them from accessing the best and, in some ways, the only means. You know what? There's something that I've been meaning to do. To increase their, life chances.
Just ask.
Prevent them from accessing the best way that the United States offers for increasing, accumulating and increasing one's wealth. Just lock them out. And that's exactly what the United States have done. Just locked people out of this otherwise very widely available means to wealth. Uh-oh. I didn't think I would ever reach my weight limit, but I guess I did. Alright. This may or may not work, but because sometimes it doesn't trigger.
Nothing to it.
And we have already been there twice.
Whatever you want.
Have a look at my wares. wares.
Aha.
I trust you'll find them all in satisfactory condition. Have a look at my wares. I trust you'll find them all in satisfactory condition.
Alright, so this guy will only talk to you once. You only have one opportunity to deal with him. And then he disappears forever. And that's why we're going to sell him Keldorn shit, because he will take Keldorn shit completely out of the game. And now Keldorn will be down in the sewers with no way to even recover his stuff if he ever does come back to his senses. I am such a dick. These are pretty good prices for his things. Okay. We can buy things straight into the scroll case. Let's see. Here's the other Find Familiar scroll. I think there's actually 4 altogether in this this game. There's this one. There's the one that we actually used, which is dropped by a Shadow Thief in one of the vampire encounters. There's one in Darnassi Keep, and then you can also buy one in Brynlaw. Have I mentioned yet how weird it is that the lawful neutral familiar is the one with the best pickpocketing skills? You'd think that it would be the chaotic neutral. Oh, that's a cat. Alright. And now he leaves. And takes Keldorn's shit with him. Alright.
If you say so.
So, next time I think we're actually going to rest for a couple of hours and to make that 1 day pass, and then we're going to go take care of that thing. Let's go ahead and pick up his quest. We have to do it.
You there. I would have a word with you. I am called Lord Jerdan Firecrag, and I bid you stand a moment and hear what I offer.
I can't sit down? Fuck you.
Word has come to me of your actions. I see you as capable and headstrong, with the ability to handle whatever is thrown at you. Just the type of creature that I am looking for.
His voice actor, I believe, is the same dude who does Minsk. He's a fucking dragon. We have to do his quest because we have the Stride quest, and we have to go to the Windspear Hills in order to deal with that. So next time we'll rest a couple of times. We'll finish up that thing in the sphere, and then I don't know what else we'll do. Probably go back to the Umar Hills and see what we can do there. But we'll see you then. Join me then. Later.